Thank you for coming. We'll go ahead and start. First item on consider approving the minutes held from October 9th, please.
I'd make a motion we approve the minutes and sign the warrant.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor? Good. Item number 2, second reading of a letter of intent of our ordinance.
Dave had reworked that ordinance based on what we all talked about the last meeting, and Bob generously took some time and brought it to the next level. And I've photocopied a copy of what Bob had generated, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but Jan has looked at it, I've looked at it, Dave, the code enforcement officer, has looked at it, and all three of us think it's perfect. So if we get any comments on it, we'd love to hear it.
Let me just tell you what I was thinking when I did it. When I looked at this page that had the changes in Part D, I found it confusing to look at it. It looked like it had been cobbled together and then somebody had thought about a piece that wasn't there and they stuck it in, and it all didn't make sense to me. So as I said in my email that I sent out this morning, it was raining and I'm retired and I had time, and I thought I would try to make this so that any citizen could read it and follow through, and by determining how big a accessory structure they were going to build, would know exactly what the rules were as far as setbacks, whether it was 10 feet or 5 feet or 15 feet or from public way or not. And so I drafted what I thought made sense. And I guess the people that have looked at it and read it thinks it does. The only caveat to that is in reading the minutes of the previous meeting, there was a line that said increasing accessory structures exceeding 800 feet to 2,000 feet and to develop the criteria for commercial building. I read that after I crafted this, and I don't know what that means either, so it may be just me, but I found this all confusing and I tried to fix it.
I have no issues with it.
Any comments, any questions?
Oh, looks good to me.
Don's got it.
Dawn?
I guess an overall comment, not about this or the other. Are we thereby reducing setbacks for a variety of reasons for any particular purpose, other than those people who have those lots, which aren't big enough to have a area? But what happens if a person's got a sizable area, but they would just as soon have their 800, 1,000 square foot structure way over to one end on a butter's property? Are we making it too easy for people to put buildings anywhere? And that's a general statement, it's not a specific statement, but we're doing so much in the town to try to improve the things we talked about, mobile homes and things like that, and what kind of structures should they have. Are we doing this for a particular reason, other than to help some people who don't have enough property to do that? And that's just an overall question, I don't know.
Well, we have people quite often come in, wanting to build a structure closer to the town, to their property line than they're able to, and it puts them out of business. They can't do anything about it. So it solves the issue with the small lots where somebody wants to have a shed. It kind of eliminates the situation of somebody wanting to put a garage closer to the, it closes in that gap. And this is something that's happening in other towns. We're not the only one that's done this. This is actually an active process in neighboring towns. We didn't think this one up by ourselves. And that's the only answer I have to what you're saying, Bob. It does loosen up the restrictions. I mean, Don, it does loosen up the restrictions. It's been quite a day. I'm fried today, I'm sorry. And, you know, it gives people an opportunity. I mean, this is a choice that the council has to make. If you want to see this go in this direction, great. If you don't, then we can kill this thing and move forward. But I can tell you one thing. We've got this 2,500 foot piece in here. The reason for this is we've got, and without naming names, we've got one particular commercial company who has a building. They don't, it's not in great shape. They don't want to tear it down because they're in fear of not being able to replace it if they do that. So, and this is right on the property line. There's a lot of these situations that are out there, and we've got one in particular that we're really trying to get them to clean it up. But by allowing us to have the 2,500 square foot or greater building in there, that brings it to the planning board. The planning board, the process is talking with neighbors, and the neighbors are allowed to come in to have that hearing, and it can sway it one way or the other. So it's good for a larger company, should be good for individuals as well. The 200 square foot buildings, 800 square foot buildings, I personally don't have an issue with it. I just think it makes it easy to live in the town.
I'm a little confused, and it may be because I have just read it once, haven't really spent a lot of time. The number one, you know, that's your 200-foot building or less, 12 feet in height. The next one, accessory structures of at least 200 square feet, but less than 800, may be located closer than 15 feet from the property line other than public right-of-way, but shall be no closer than 5 feet, provided that no roof pitches towards the property line. If any roof does pitch towards the property line, the structure may not be closer than 10 feet.
And that was generated from Harold's discussion. That was a comment that he had on there, which was a valid point, because if the snow is flying off these roofs, if it's a steel roof and it goes on your neighbors, then it's going to present a problem. So that's where that whole part
So
came from.
why would, and again.
And what it's saying is that in number one, anything less than 200 square feet, the roof is not really a concern. But I didn't make any changes to that, I just really
Is 10 feet
shuffled
enough
it.
for a big roof? If you've got an 800 square foot roof, you know.
Well,
Again, I'm just
yeah, Dave and I talked
playing
about
devil's
that.
advocate, looking at, you know, why do we want to go to 10 foot? Why not stay at 15 foot for people who have roofs that slant that way? And then the last one, and this is where my biggest question was, accessory structures of at least 800 square feet may be located closer than 15 feet, other than public right, but shall be no closer than 5 feet from those property lines, provided no roof pitches towards the property lines. If any roof does pitch towards the property line, the structure may not be closer than 15 feet. So does that allow
It allows the garage
it allows any property?
to go on any property up to 5 feet. We're changing the ordinance from 15 feet to 5 feet.
Right, but this is number 3. Doesn't that allow anybody over 800 square feet to go closer than 10 feet?
Good point.
Only if they're under 2,500, right?
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't say that though.
that would be, no, it's.
No, anybody over 800, as long as it's an accessory structure, which would mean to me that there has to be a structure on the property, and then this is the accessory structure. You can't have the accessory structure being the biggest or maybe the only huge building. You wouldn't call it then an accessory structure, I don't think.
But if you had like a storage unit, an 8-unit storage property, that could be considered an accessory structure, which could be 2,400
That
square
would be a
feet.
commercial
Not for
facility.
their own purposes. You know, they have 8 bays because they want to have 8 bays.
Right.
No, I'm just saying, you know, it's an awful big building to put in front of or next to somebody's property.
This has grown, okay? This originally started out as a shed. And it's now turned into, you know, basically if you want to build a police department 5 feet from somebody's property line, you can do it as long as you've got the planning board's approval on it, so.
I do like the planning board's approval, and maybe, you know, but I think we're getting a lot further than maybe where we were thinking of starting.
Okay, so, would the council like us to?
Oh, and the other question, you know, I did want to bring up, Gary did share with me that, you know, there is a building that's not in good condition and it's close to the property line. And one of my questions was, if you have an existing building, does that get grandfathered so that if that building needs to be built on or rebuilt because it's caving in, can they do it and how long do they have to do it? For example, lakefront property, if you've got a foundation and it burns down, you can rebuild.
But up to a year.
Is it a year?
It's a year. You have 1 year
So-
to rebuild that.
That's for the lakefront property.
And that would be for any other structure. If you're outside the current ordinance, you have a year to bring it back to its original size, or 30%, I think, is what the,
You can build it 30% bigger.
bigger on the lake. I don't know if you can as far as, I don't have Dave here to answer that
Yeah.
tonight. Yeah. But it is a year.
And I think Bob's comment the other day was, whatever we do that is more than, I would say even a 200-foot building, should go in front of the planning board. So that the neighbors would be able to make comments and questions about
Yeah.
the structure.
We'd have to rewrite that whole ordinance, because right now, 2,500 square, that's why we're at the 2,500 square feet, because that's what puts in their scope of authority to be able to handle that. So that would be a readjustment on that ordinance as well, if we wanted to bring it to smaller structures. I mean, right now, the way the ordinance is for the planning board is 2,500 square feet and big and larger, that's when they get involved in it. They don't get involved in anything less than that.
But they could.
If we change the ordinance, they could.
You know, I just think it would be fair to the property owners if somebody wants to build whatever they're building and we're changing this ordinance, that they should have the right to get their views made as to, no, I
Sure.
don't want that building right there. It's, you know, our house basically faces that direction and we're gonna be looking right at the side of that. I don't know. I'm just
So
not,
how about if we table this thing? And we'll take another look at it, and we'll iron it out here at some point. I'm good with that.
Mr. Cox?
I had a couple of questions. I don't know if I can see the difference, excuse me, the difference between 10 feet from the property line and then on section 3, 15 feet. Even though, just because the building's bigger,
It's gonna have more snow up on top, this actually could fly further. And the whole idea is to make sure it doesn't go on the next door neighbor's property.
And that, when I brought that up, it was, my neighbor wants to put a garage, but he can't because the way his house is and property line. With this, he could put a garage at 5 feet. And his next door neighbor is, I don't know, I say 300 feet, it's probably more like 500 feet away. And he doesn't care. But Church Street, where all the lots are small, the houses are close together, the driveways are right beside the buildings. If you put a steel roof, and then you come home at night and the neighbor's got a steel roof and all the snow dumped right in your driveway, you're not gonna be very happy. So, it's,
I guess I'm not sure if the building's bigger, if the snow is gonna go any further.
well, it depends on the pitch and what.
Gravity and the velocity it's gonna gain. I can see it doesn't say here whether it's 2-story and single-story. Is this restricted to single-story? If you have 2 stories, it's definitely gonna go a lot further.
Well, it's height, there's a height
12 feet
restriction in there.
height, number one.
Okay. Now that refers to all the rest of them too.
no, just number one.
Oh, just number 1.
Number two could be, as long as it's an accessory structure, could be 800 square feet. I suppose it could be on 4 levels, 200 square feet in each level. Once you wade into the weeds here, if that's what we, if solving this is not simple, once we wade into the weeds, then we need to convene a.
The only thing I would add to that is maybe eliminate section 3, have it up to an 800 square foot building, eliminate anything between 800 and 2,500 square feet, and let the planning board do something over 2,500 square feet. That would be the only other thought that I would have.
800 is a good sized building.
That's garage.
what's that?
It's a good sized garage.
It's a
A
garage.
30 by 30 is 900, so.
Yeah.
20 by 40.
Either that, or let's put it off. Do some thinking.
I would just assume that I'm just one person.
Make a motion.
I move we table this until a later date.
Okay, perfect.
All in favor of table, thank you. Back to the drawing board. Second reading of general assistance ordinance.
Okay, you have it? No changes?
I do have it. Printing on that side and signature on the other side. We made
In black.
I only have a group number.
I brought that
Is there any changes from our first reading?
You made no changes.
I'd make a motion, we accept this as our second reading of this, the
Black.
changes to this ordinance.
Black.
Thank you.
I just made a motion, we
Motion is
accept
made.
this as a second reading.
Second, no,
Thank you.
second.
All in
Yeah,
favor?
yeah.
I just wanted in there a second. While we're going through signing that, we'll move on to the next one. Vote to accept $829.68 grant from MMA for the police department for ballistic vests.
There's one another grant, this is for 2 vests, this is how we're supplying the vests, and we need to accept that in order for us to use the money.
I can't remember the difference in the vests. The ones that policemen wear on a regular basis, are those ballistic vests? Are we talking the ones, didn't we talk once about some real heavy-duty ones that if they were in a gunfight or something, they put on? Or-
Right, and which one's this one from? The ballistic, okay, this is the ballistic vest, this is the heavy one that's gonna go in the trunk of the car.
Okay,
So
that's what I
it'll
thought,
stop a rifle
that's
shot.
what I thought you called them, but,
Right,
so that's if you're,
yeah. the heavy
it's not a
one.
regular,
That'll buy 1 vest, so they just put them in one in the car as they get them.
I'd make a motion, we accept this grant.
Motion made, do we have a second? Second by Dawn, all in favor? Okay, next one, sign a sewer commitment.
And the sewer commitment, you have one over there, Jan?
I have that document, yes.
Here, the company pen.
I got a black one.
Well, you got 2.
Just like when you do it in red.
Green.
Yeah, green.
I had luck, you know, I'm a little bit colorblind. Don't mess me up, I'm gonna put somebody else's name here first.
Just do the best you can.
Yeah, that's all I can do, and he can X it, I can put my X and he can approve it. You want the company pen?
I got it.